What's going on, everyone? Tommy P here, back with another naturally obsessed look into football. And today we are going to be talking about why the Arizona Cardinals should not trade Kyler Murray. Now, I want to preface this video by saying I am not a football expert. I'm just a fan who's naturally obsessed. So today's video is going to be a mix of my opinion versus facts that just can't be argued. So the whole Kyler Murray situation, it's filled with drama, filled with chaos, and as a fan who is as pro player as you can possibly get, I get where Kyler Murray's coming from. You know, you have old school fans that think today's athletes are nothing but divas and crybabies and things like that. But today's athlete is more empowered than ever before, and rightfully so. Very rightfully so. You know, they're the ones who are putting their bodies on the line on a day in, day out basis. They're the ones who are giving the fans the product. The owners are just the ones with the checkbooks. Plain and simple. The players should be empowered and they should have a voice. So I want to start this video with just a quick backstory. Kyler Murray coming to the Cardinals was very unexpected, I think, at the time, because they had just drafted Josh Rosen, and it was coming into a year where Josh Rosen was the guy. And then the Steve Wilkes firing came about, and the Cardinals hired Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury had this reputation of being an offensive guru despite having a losing record in college. But the thing about that is, the reason he had this stigma is in college, he consistently had one of the best offenses in the country. Just couldn't stop a nosebleed. His defenses were god-awful, which is why they got outscored so often. So you hire Cliff Kingsbury, has a relationship with Kyler Murray, runs a very similar offense that Lincoln Riley did at Oklahoma. The thought process here is you can get a guy who you believe is better than Josh Rosen, and he's basically a plug-and-play guy. The learning curve will be very, very minimal. So you get Kyler Murray, you implement him into the NFL, and there's a reason the Cardinals had the #1 overall pick. They're a god-awful organization. The thing I can't stand more than anything in the world is when you try to compare players and the first thing out of your mouth is, look at the wins and losses. Drives me absolutely crazy. So, first of all, wins are not a quarterback stat. They're just not. Situations matter in the NFL. Where you land, what team you go to, absolutely matters. Do you really think Patrick Mahomes would be as successful as he is right now if he didn't land in a situation where he can sit for a year behind a great vet in Alex Smith and the best offensive coach in the NFL in Andy Reid? Would Josh Allen be as great if he didn't land with a tremendous GM in Buffalo and a phenomenal coach in Sean McDermott? Would Lamar Jackson if he didn't get John Harbaugh? Where you land in the NFL matters. None of those guys that I just mentioned before went to the worst team in the NFL with a GM who seems at this point to be in over his head, hasn't had a good offseason as far as drafting and production, and it just, the whole thing about Steve Keim and the Arizona Cardinals is he came into a pretty good situation where he had a team that was slowly on the rise, had a couple good draft picks, hit a home run with the Carson Palmer trade, hit a home run with the hiring of Bruce Arians, had probably 3 or 4 good years, lost a bunch of young talent, some veterans retired, and ever since it's been a battle to reclaim that status, that elite status. And where I'm going with this is the Arizona Cardinals historically have been a dumpster fire of an organization. The stigma behind them has changed a little bit because of the Super Bowl run they had about 15 years ago. They followed it up with another good season, had some chaos in between, then built another good team that was in contention for 3 or 4 years, and they just haven't been able to bounce back on a consistent level. But with Kyler Murray, it's undeniable. Kyler Murray got drafted to a 3-win team. His rookie year takes a 3-win team to a 5-win team. Second year takes a 5-win team to an 8-win team. Third year takes an 8-win team to an 11-win team. So that's undeniable. And I know you can absolutely make the argument, well, they have DeAndre Hopkins. True, but DeAndre Hopkins last year was out half the year. They still managed to win 11 games, and I understand that most of those wins came in the first half of the year. So I will give you that. Very fair argument. The concern with Kyler Murray when he got drafted was, is he too small? I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I still think long-term you can absolutely learn how to maneuver with him being as small as he is. But the one thing that's undeniable that goes against Kyler Murray is that's 2 straight years that he's gotten injured and his second half stats have started to decline. So that's against Kyler Murray. But what's working in favor of Kyler Murray? I have some stats here that I was looking at this morning before I made this video, and Kyler Murray finished 7th in the NFL in total QBR. The only quarterbacks that finished ahead of Kyler Murray are all guys that I don't think there's any argument, no doubt, are better than Kyler Murray. That's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers. Right? No argument. All better than Kyler Murray. But I want to talk about the year after year stats that are clear as day getting better. So, Kyler Murray is throwing less interceptions. He's throwing for more yards per attempt. His passer rating improved 7 points last year. His passer rating improved 6 points this year. He's taking less sacks. And a lot of people are probably going to say, like, well, the O-line's gotten better. Last year, the ideal offensive line that they had projected in game 1 of the regular season played a total of 3 games together. It was a makeshift offensive line for most of the season, and I'm not making excuses because every single team deals with injuries and chaos every single year. It's not an excuse, and I'm not going to try to make it an excuse, but it is a fact that as a young player, especially at this time in society where we live in, so your rookie year, OTAs and preseason doesn't benefit you the way it would a second, third, fourth year player. When you're actually you're still learning the game of the NFL. So his second year is probably where he would have benefited the most from that. What do we have his second year? The COVID outbreak, where there was no OTAs, no preseason. His third year, it was a little in chaos. Kyler Murray came into the NFL at one of the most inopportune times for a rookie. It's not an excuse, it's just a fact. So excuse me if I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack there when it comes to the learning curve of the NFL. Second thing is, if you want to get nitpicky, I'm looking at these stats, I'm looking at the production, and right now, my personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, please comment down below. I would love to hear your reasoning behind why you disagree. But I'm looking at how stacked the AFC is versus how top-heavy the NFC is. My personal opinion, Kyler Murray currently is the 4th best quarterback in the NFC Only better quarterbacks being Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Matthew Stafford. I understand you probably feel like you can make an argument for Dak Prescott. Good luck with that. I strongly disagree. But who else? Who else in the NFC is definitively, no doubt, better than Kyler Murray? You don't trade guys that are at the top. You just don't. And Kyler Murray right now, despite what the nasty taste we have in our mouths from not only how the second half of the season ended, but that terrible playoff game, Kyler Murray is on the top tier of, I don't want to say top tier because I think those three guys are on the top tier, but Kyler Murray is at the top of tier 2 of NFC quarterbacks. He's not elite, but the guy's great. And again, I'm not making excuses because everyone in the NFL gets dinged up, so an injury is not an excuse. But we see what Kyler Murray does when he's healthy. Week 1 against the Tennessee Titans, the number 1 seed in the AFC at the end of the year, lit them up. Looked like an MVP candidate. And many times over for the first half of the season. Many times over. So don't give me that, oh, Kyler Murray's not good. No, Kyler Murray's good. Does he have a lot of work he needs to do to be elite? Absolutely. 100%. Tons of work still to be done. And I want you to think about this when we're criticizing how bad he looked in the playoff game, because I'm not going to make excuses for him. That was easily, hands down, the worst game he has played in his NFL career. But how do we look at Lamar Jackson now when he looked god-awful in his first playoff game? How do we judge Peyton Manning now when he looked terrible in 3 consecutive playoff games? And I'm not trying to compare Kyler Murray to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is a Hall of Fame, all-time great quarterback, and Kyler Murray hasn't accomplished jack shit in this league. But I'm trying to say, just hold the brakes for a second before we're slamming. Give the guy time to overcome and learn. Give him a year. If we're in the same place next offseason, then it might be time to reconsider and weigh our options. But right now, I'm not willing to trade Kyler Murray for 3 first-round picks. It is hard to find a franchise quarterback in this league. I believe, opinion, Kyler Murray is a franchise quarterback who just landed in a shit situation and is trying to overcome franchise dysfunction. The leadership quality or lack thereof is definitely a concern. The immaturity, definitely a concern. But continuity is key in player development. It's key in franchise growth. You just drafted a guy in Josh Rosen and after 1 year moved off of him for Kyler Murray, a guy who is clear as day, no doubt about it, way better than him. Ride it out. Give it time. And the last point I want to make, he wants a contract, and it's been said he won't accept anything less than $40 million, but I believe that price tag has gone up since then because we're seeing all of these extensions being granted to players. I want you to think about this for a second. Kyler Murray has a cap number this year of $11.4 million. Here are the quarterbacks that he is no doubt definitively better than that are making more money than him. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill. Forgive me if I'm understanding and on the side of the player who thinks I'm better than these guys. so I should be making more money than them. He's absolutely right. He should be. He 100% should be, but here's where I draw the line. Voice what you want, but do not put the rest of the team at risk and let them suffer for you not getting your way. Perfect example I've used all off season since this has happened. Different sport, but it's the perfect analogy. The Phoenix Suns and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton wants, deserves, and will get a maximum contract extension from the Phoenix Suns. But the Phoenix Suns didn't offer it to him. Did DeAndre Ayton do what Kyler Murray's doing? Pouting, being expressive, have his agent put out a page-long press release? No. DeAndre Ayton acted like a grown-up, said to himself, okay, you don't think I'm worth it? Let me put my head down, go to work, show you I'm worth it, and leave you with no choice but to pay me the max. And guess what? He's done that all year long, and because of that, the Suns know they're getting a grown-up, and they're getting a guy who's worth the maximum contract extension. So my advice to Kyler, not that he gives a shit, he's going to continue to do whatever he wants to do, whatever. Show them that you're worth it. Leave them with no choice but to give you exactly what you want and leave it on the field. Show them on the field, I'm worth it, so pay me. Let me know what you guys think, please. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the matter. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.